Hello and welcome to Quadratics 4.2 Complete the Square. Okay, so this section we're gonna learn about complete the square, and basically here's pretty much one of the main purposes of complete the square for the time being. Okay, so when you think of complete the square, think of it as he's gonna be the tool that's gonna be used to turn standard form of a quadratic into vertex form of a quadratic. Okay, so that's the main purpose of complete the square for now. I mean, there's going to be other uses for it in the future, but for now, just think of it as his main goal in life is to turn standard form into vertex form. Okay, and if you can remember that one purpose that he has, that one skill that he has, that he's very good at, then yeah, that term, that phrase, yeah, that power that he possesses, will serve you will serve you well. Okay, so let's see how this all works. Okay, so when you do completing the square, you wanna take a look at the middle number of your standard form, because he's the key. Yeah, he's the one that's gonna do what is called complete the square. He's gonna help you figure out what is a number that should be sitting right next to the negative 8x, so that complete the square can actually happen. Okay, so what we're going to do is actually, let me just write down the problem first. Let me just get that down first. So I'm going to have f of x equals x squared minus 8x minus 9. Okay, so we're going to grab that middle number, the negative 8x, or just the negative 8 rather, not the negative 8x, but just the negative 8. We're going to grab that negative 8, and we're going to do two things to it. We're going to cut it in half first, and when I cut it in half, I get negative 4. Then I'm going to square the result of cutting it in half. So I'm going to grab negative 4 and I'm going to square it, or in other words, multiply it to itself. And I'm going to get 16. Okay, so this 16 represents the number that should be sitting right next to the negative 8x in this standard form. But right now, is there a positive 16 standing right next to the negative 8x in this function? No, unfortunately we have negative 9 standing right next to the negative 8x. So that number is not going to work. So this cut it in half and square it, I guess, series of steps that I just ran, is used to figure out who is the number that should be standing right next to the middle number, negative 8x. And if the number I currently have there is not the number that I just did these two things to, then I need to tell that negative 9 to go away, because that's the number that's not going to work. Right? 16 is going to be the number that works, and unfortunately negative 9 is not 16. So we've got to tell negative 9 to beat it, to get out of our way. Yeah, make room for the 16 to stand right next to negative 8x. So what kind of math do we know that can make this negative 9 disappear from the right-hand side? Yeah, like make it totally disappear from the right-hand side, and I guess in essence go into the left side. So what kind of math can happen so that I can have this negative 9 go to the other side? And if you said add 9 on both sides, you're absolutely correct. That's what we want to do. We want to add 9 on both sides. And when I do that, we're going to get f of x plus 9 equals x squared minus 8x, and then blank, because now that spot is vacant. Yeah, and since it's vacant, the 16 that we figured out is going to do what is called complete the square. He can just go right in that spot. So put a 16 right there. But the trick to this is this: you got to remember your math. Yeah, you got to remember your rules in math, where you can't just add something to one side without adding it to the other. Yeah, so I can't just put a plus 16 on the right side without balancing it out and putting a plus 16 on the left side. And if I try to do that, then yeah, that's going to be breaking some major laws in math. So if I'm going to put plus 16 on the right, I better also put plus 16 on the left. Okay, because yeah, that's how you balance equations. Okay. All right, so I added 16 on both sides. So what do we have? We have f of x, and when I add these two numbers up, I get plus 25. Okay, equals, and then I have x squared minus 8x plus 16. So I accomplished one goal, which is to get the correct number to be standing right next to the negative 8x, and that is 16. So 16 is the number that's going to do what is called complete the square. Okay, so when you do these couple of steps correctly, you're gonna see that when I factor this right hand side, you're gonna create a special pattern when you factor this right hand side. Yeah, remember factoring now? I taught you guys that, right? Where you try to figure out what two numbers make 16 when I multiply rather. Yeah, what two numbers make 16 when I multiply and add to make negative 8. Okay, so just think, yeah, what two numbers make 16 when I multiply and negative 8 when I add. So we're gonna put two blank parentheses on the right hand side because that's how I taught you guys to factor, right? And then the numbers in the front are gonna be x and x because these two numbers in the front, they were in charge of making x squared. Okay, and your two numbers in the back, yeah, they're supposed to make 16. So here's where the pattern comes out. Yeah, so it's called complete the square for a pretty good reason, because you're going to use the square, the perfect square that made 16, to be your numbers in the parentheses. So 16 is the result of what perfect square? And hopefully you say 4. And is 4 the number that when multiplied to each other make 16? Yeah, 4 and 4 make 16. Does 4 and 4 make negative 8 though? No, so we need to just change this set of 4's to negative 4, and we're all set. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Negative 4 plus negative 4 is negative 8. Okay, so this has been factored. Okay, and this is one of those special case factoring scenarios where, because 16 is my perfect square, it is the number that we selected, yeah, that we figured out should be standing right next to this negative 8x. When you factor this right hand side from now on, when you do complete the square, you're gonna get the exact same parentheses, like the exact same parentheses twice. And if you don't get the exact same parentheses twice when you factor this right hand side, well, you must have did something wrong, because you're supposed to get this, because that's how complete the square the process works, where it makes this happen, right? If you get that correct number standing right next to that 8x, when you factor it, it's gonna be the exact same parentheses twice. Okay, and like I said, if you don't get that happening, then you messed up somewhere. Okay, so let's just write the left side as is, no change right there. So f of x plus 25. Okay, so next step is I'm gonna rewrite the x minus 4. I'm gonna condense it. So I'm still gonna write f of x plus 25, and then I'm gonna write the right side as x minus 4 squared. Okay. And I'm going to write it like that because isn't that what x minus 4 times x minus 4 is? It's x minus 4 quantity squared. Yeah. So all I did was I condensed what I had on the right hand side from two exact same parentheses to just one with a square. Okay. And my very last step is to make f of x by itself so that I can get the goal of what this whole problem is all about, to create vertex form. Right? That's my goal, right? To create vertex form. So I'm going to subtract 25 on both sides so that I can get the f of x by itself. And if you notice, when I subtract 25 on both sides, that red 25 that I just wrote, yeah, that ends up being the k value. Yeah. So let's see what my vertex form looks like when I'm all said and done. So I get f of x on the left equals x minus 4 quantity squared minus 25. So there's my vertex form. So I'm going to write x minus 4 quantity squared minus 25. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do as extra for the last bit of this problem. Okay, so we got vertex form, yeah. So I want you guys to answer this question for me. What is vertex form really good at finding? Okay. So remember I talked about complete the square. He has a special power, and his special power is to convert standard form into vertex form. Yeah. So that's complete the square's special power, right? That's his skill. Yeah. So if you need anybody to turn a quadratic from standard form into vertex form, you're gonna call complete the square. He's gonna come to your rescue. Yeah. And same like vertex form. Okay. Vertex form has a very special power also, and his power is when I have vertex form written, I'm able to identify something really easily. Do you know what that something is? And we kind of covered it in the previous section, but maybe you forgot. But Vertex Form's special power is he can identify the coordinates of the vertex. Okay, so the coordinates of the vertex is going to be, so I'm just going to write it on the side here because this is where I have my blank space. My vertex will be 4, negative 25. Okay, so if you can practice writing vertex coordinates for me, that'll be awesome. Okay, because then that's going to help you to identify your h and your k that we did in the previous lesson 4.1. Yeah, remember we had to identify h and k in the previous lesson 4.1? If you can start identifying the vertex coordinates, the vertex location from vertex form, then that'll go and help you do some extra reps, extra practice, so that you get real good at identifying h and k. Yeah, and if you can do it, that's fine. If you can remember to do it, that's fine. It doesn't really officially ask you to do this on the problem, but just as extra practice, this might do you some good. Okay. All right, so let's go on to number 2. Okay, so let's write our problem on the side so I know what I'm going to have to work with. So I have f of x equals x squared plus 4x minus 12. Okay, so we have a brand new number in the middle. It's not negative 8. This time we have positive 4. So our first step, when we find the number that should be standing right next to 4x, we're going to grab that middle number, 4. We're going to cut it in half, and we get 2. Okay, then we're going to grab that result and we're going to square it. Or in other words, we're going to multiply it to itself and we're going to get 4. So we've now discovered that 4 is the number that should be standing right next to 4x. So is this number called negative 12 known as 4? No, this negative 12 is not known as 4. So we're going to politely tell negative 12 to beat it. Yeah, so how do I get negative 12 to disappear from the right hand side? What kind of math do we know that makes negative 12 disappear? Yeah, and then hopefully you say, oh, what if we just add 12 on both sides? Then it'll disappear from the right hand side, and it's going to leave an opening for the 4 to stand right next to the positive 4x. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's get rid of this negative 12 by adding 12 on both sides. So we get f of x plus 12 on the left side equals x squared plus 4x and blank. Right? We now have space for the 4 to stand right next to the 4x. And when I do that, I have done what is called complete the square. Yeah, I've put the best number, the perfect square, next to the 4 so that I can do that special factoring pattern that I showed you in the previous problem. So I'm going to put a plus 4 right there because that's the number that should by right be standing right next to the 4x. And we got to remember, okay, we cannot break any rules or laws of algebra where if I put something or I add something to the right hand side, I'm bound by law to add it to the left side. So let's do that. Let's add it to the left side. Okay, so let's add 4 on the left side as well. Okay, so now I'm not breaking any laws anymore, any math laws. Okay, so what do we got? We got, oops, that's not the color I want. I wanted blue. I thought I pushed blue. Okay, so we got f of x plus 16 equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay, so we're going to factor this right hand side. So when I factor, remember I taught you, yeah, we're going to put 2 blank parentheses, and we're going to put the x's in the front because they're in charge of making the front, the x squared. Okay, and the numbers that I put in the back, the 2 numbers that I put in the back, they multiply to make 4, and they add to make 4. Okay, and like I said, this technique is called complete the square for a reason, because this 4 is a very special number. He's a perfect square. So the numbers I'm going to put in the blank are going to be the perfect square numbers that made 4. So in that situation, it's going to be a 2 and a 2. So 2 times 2, yeah, that makes 4. Yeah. Does 2 plus 2 make 4 also? Yeah, it sure does. And what kind of sign, positive or negative, should I assign to these two? Should I put negative 2, or should I put positive 2, positive 2? Well, since you got to make a positive 4 in the middle by adding, you better put positive 2, positive 2. Okay? And then on the left side, we get f of x plus 16. So that stays the same. So the left side, no change whatsoever. Okay. So I'm going to write another line. I'm going to clean up that x plus 2, x plus 2. I'm going to rewrite them as a square. So f of x, I'm just taking baby steps, yeah? So eventually when you guys get good at complete the square, you're going to start skipping some steps here and there, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah, but just don't skip so many steps where you can't find where you made your mistake anymore. Yeah, because that would be bad. Okay, so all I did in that step was I just reduced x plus 2 written twice to x plus 2 written once with a square symbol. Okay, so like I said, right? The purpose of complete the square is to create vertex form. Yeah, and we're almost there. So we just gotta solve or get f of x by itself. So how do I get f of x by itself? Well, I gotta get rid of the 16. So how do I send 16 to the other side? Well, you're going to subtract 16. So hopefully this part of the process is not too bad, right? How do I move and shift around numbers, right? How did I shift around the negative 12 to the left side? Yeah, you know, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I have f of x equals x plus 2 quantity squared minus 16. Okay, and there's my vertex form. So I'm going to write that on the line. X plus 2 quantity squared minus 16. Okay, and as a little side bonus, yeah, so that you can get some extra reps, what do I want you guys to do? I want you to write the vertex coordinates, the vertex location. So that's what I'm going to do on the side. So my vertex location is going to be negative 2, comma negative 16. Okay, and if you're wondering how I got that set of coordinates, yeah, just rewatch the previous video. I don't want to go and show you guys how to get the coordinates in this video because I want to keep the focus of this video on complete the square, right? If you want to know how I got the vertex location, just watch 4.1's video, okay? All right, so let's go on to number 3. Okay, so let's see. I got my problem, my original problem, so f of x equals x squared minus 14x plus 10. So I got a brand new middle number, so I got negative 14. So I'm going to grab that negative 14, I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to get negative 7. Then I'm going to square that negative 7, or in other words, multiply it to itself, and I get 49. So that's my number that should be standing right next to negative 14 in my problem that I have written in the middle. Okay, and is this 10 known as a 49? No, it is not. Yeah, so I have the absolute wrong number standing next to the negative 14. Yeah, I need 49 to be standing right next to negative 14. And if I don't get 49 standing right there, then I'm not going to be able to do that special pattern of factoring, where it's the same exact parentheses written twice. So we're going to politely ask 10 to go to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides. So he's going to move to the left side. So I have f of x minus 10 equals x squared minus 14x. Okay, so now 49, it has its shot. It can go stand right next to the negative 14 because nobody is standing there, so 49 can stand right there without anything bad happening. Yeah, so we're going to put the 49 there, but we got to remember, if I put something on the right side, I have to put the exact same number on the left side. I got to obey my rules, my laws of math, and if I don't obey them, then I'm going to guarantee make a mistake, and I'm going to get the wrong answer as a result. So I added 49 on both sides, so I'm safe. So I get f of x plus 39, right? Because negative 10 plus 49 is 39, equals x squared minus 14x plus 49. Okay, so like I said, I'm not skipping any steps because I want to show you guys how this works. Eventually, when you guys start getting good at complete square, you can start skipping steps. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to factor this right-hand side, and like I taught you many times already, I'm going to make 2 blank parentheses, and x's are in the front because they're in charge of making x squared. And I'm going to remind you again, like I did the previous 2 problems, why is this technique called complete the square? Because the number that's sitting right next to the negative 14 is a perfect square. And that the numbers that make this perfect square, 7 and 7, they're going to be the numbers I use to put in the parentheses. So 7 times 7 is 49. And 7 plus 7 is 14. But 7 plus 7 is the wrong kind of 14. I want a negative 14. So I'm going to put negative here and negative there. Okay, so I get f of x plus 39. So notice how the left side just stays the same. Okay, equals x minus 7 times x minus 7. Okay, so I'm going to clean up that right-hand side. I'm not going to write the x minus 7 twice anymore. So I'm going to clean up that right side. So f of x plus 39 equals x minus 7 quantity squared. Okay, and then my very last step is to put the final stages of vertex form into form. Yeah, I'm going to solidify it by moving this 39 to the left-hand side. Right, and if you notice that when I move this 39 to the right-hand side, he eventually becomes my k value. Did you guys see that? Yeah, and that's why I want you guys to do the vertex as the very last step. Yeah, just as good practice. Yeah, so this positive 39 that was moved back to the right-hand side, he eventually becomes the letter k. So if I don't move that 39 to the right-hand side, then I don't know what k is. I'm going to actually put k as 0, and that's going to be very wrong. So you got to make sure you get f of x by itself. Otherwise, you don't have vertex form. So f of x equals x minus 7 quantity squared minus 39. Okay, so on this blank, I'm going to put x minus 7 quantity squared minus 39. Okay, and then on the side here, I'm going to practice writing vertex form, or vertex coordinates rather, not vertex form, vertex coordinates. And my vertex coordinates for this problem is going to be 7, negative 39. Okay, and like I said, if you want to review as far as how I got this vertex location, just watch 4.1's video. Okay, I explain it in there. Yeah, I don't want to explain how to get the vertex in a complete square video, because it's going to take away the focus from what this whole section is all about. Okay, so I said that already, so just repeating myself. Okay, last problem for the day. All right, so problem number 4, same thing like the previous problem. I'm gonna rewrite the problem that I start off with in the middle here. So equals x squared plus 4x minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to grab that middle number, positive 4, I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to get 2. Then I'm going to square that result of the number that just got cut in half, and I'm going to get a 4. So there should be a 4 sitting right next to the 4x. And unfortunately, negative 1 is not a 4, so I have the absolute wrong number standing right next to the 4x. So I got to tell that negative 1, beat it. So he moves away. Yeah, he goes to the other side of the sign, so I add 1 on both sides, and that's how I send them to the left-hand side. So I get f of x plus 1 equals x squared plus 4x. Okay, so now my number that should be standing there has its chance, right? There's nothing standing right next to 4x, so this 4 that's sitting on the side, waiting patiently, now's the chance. So I'm going to put the plus 4 on this right-hand side, right next to the 4x, and that's going to complete the square. Okay, and I don't want to break any math laws, so I want to add 4 on both sides. I'm going to add 4 on both sides. Okay, and now you're going to start seeing me skip a step, because I want to show you guys where you probably want to skip a step if you're able to, if your understanding won't get lost. This is where you can start doing your first skipping of a step. Okay, so you're gonna keep the left side like normal. You're gonna add the 1 and the 4, so you're gonna f of x plus 5. So that's not gonna change. Okay, but watch what I do to the right hand side. I didn't normally go to this step just yet. Yeah, I took my time in the previous 3 problems, but I'm gonna just start factoring it already. Yeah, and if you want to just start factoring it already, that's fine. Yeah, if you can't handle it and you gotta take it slow, that's fine too. Yeah, everybody will progress at their own rates. Okay, but I want to show the people that can start skipping steps where they might want to start doing it. Yeah, because you don't want to skip the steps in the wrong places, otherwise you're just going to make things more difficult. Okay, so you can skip a step here. Yeah, and remember what I told you guys? This 4 is a perfect square. So what number creates 4 when multiplied to itself? And you're going to hopefully say 2 does. Yeah, so 2 times 2 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4. So I'm going to put a positive 2 for both of these signs. Okay, all right, so then I'm going to have f of x plus 5 equals quantity x plus 2 squared. Okay, then I'm going to do the last stages of getting vertex form on my paper, which means I'm going to tell this 5 to go back to the right side, because when I tell this 5 to go back on the right side, he eventually turns into what letter? Yeah, what letter does this 5 that went back to the right side turn into? And hopefully you're saying to yourself, he turns into the letter K. And if you said that to yourself, Good. You're understanding, you're remembering stuff in the previous section, and that's awesome. Okay, so f of x equals quantity x plus 2 squared minus 5. So that's going to be my vertex form that I write on this line. So x plus 2 quantity squared minus 5. Okay, and my last step is going to be write my vertex coordinates. And my vertex coordinate is going to be -2, -5. Okay, so I hope this video made sense. I tried to do enough problems where you guys could see patterns and understand things at a pretty easy pace, leisurely pace. So if you have questions, yeah, I'll be ready to answer them when you guys are ready to ask them. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.